Hello everyone, I've been talking about trying my hand at encaustic art for quite some time now, in fact for over a year, because I bought the materials to use before Christmas this time last year. And I finally plucked up the courage to have a go. And this is my first piece, which I'm really, really pleased with. So I've used a piece of my masterboard, which I've mounted onto a chipboard tag here. And I've covered it in wax. So let me just explain briefly what encaustic art or encaustic painting is. It is just very, very simply painting with beeswax. So this is the product that I use to do this. This is Encaustic Medium, which is a mixture of beeswax. This is purified beeswax and Damar resin. And what the Damar resin does is harden the wax so that it makes your surface more durable. Because, of course, you know, wax is very, very soft. And if you put this near any form of heat or hung it on a wall in sunlight, for instance, it would melt. So the Damar resin just hardens it and makes it more durable, but it just gives this gorgeous finish. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it feels absolutely wonderful too. Now you can do all kinds of things with encaustic wax, and some people build up lots of different layers. Of course, mine was just a print of one of my masterboards, so mine is just a singular layer, but I think you'll agree that I've achieved a really, really lovely result here. But you can build up your collage, add elements as well that protrude from the wax as well, that are held in place by the wax. There are just so many ideas, and you know, if you search it on YouTube, there are some wonderful artists that will guide you and show you how to get started. Now I know that a couple of people have commented when I've mentioned this in the last couple of weeks that this sounds expensive. The most expensive element that I have certainly used anyway is the Encaustic Medium. I treated myself to a pound bag. I bought this, as I say, before Christmas this time last year, so I've had this for over 12 months, and I think this bag cost me £30. So the Encaustic Medium is expensive. You can buy it in smaller quantities though. So this is what the Encaustic Medium looks like. It's just tiny little pellets that you melt and then use on top of your wax. So that's what those look like. I've also got, which was sent to me in Happy Mail, a bar of beeswax. Now, I was getting quite excited about this, thinking I'd be able to use this for encaustic projects as well, but having done some research, I'm not really sure I'll be able to, because this is just beeswax in its natural form, and it doesn't contain any Damar resin, so I think this would just be too soft for using for encaustic projects. The reason this is different in colour to the pellets is just that this is beeswax in its natural form, whereas this one here has been purified. But I'm thinking that I'll be able to use this bar here for wax seals, and also using to cover mixed media projects when they're sticky and your pages are sticking together. But if anybody thinks I can use it for encaustic, or has got any other ideas as to how I can use this, then please let me know in the comments section. Then you will need some kind of way of heating your wax. And there are special heating elements that you can buy, especially for encaustic wax, but they are expensive. I mean, some of them, you know, £45–50. And I personally didn't want to pay that, because I just wanted to give it a go. And I didn't know whether it was something that I would enjoy using or not. So I bought myself, and I had no idea at the time whether it was going to work or not, one of these Von Chef. That's just this particular brand. There are lots of different brands out there. Von Chef chocolate warmer, because of course, you know, chocolate fountains have been all the rage, haven't they? So this is just a chocolate warmer, and it's worked an absolute treat. That's what I used to melt the wax for this piece here. Now, I bought this, as I say, just over 12 months ago, and this was really inexpensive. This was less than £5 from either Amazon or eBay, and I really can't remember without sort of trawling through my history. I've had a quick look, and they are more expensive now, but you can pick one of these up for about £10 to £12. And it's probably worth checking in places like Wilkinson's or some of the cheaper shops here in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else, to see if you can pick up something similar, or maybe even places like Argos. So that's one option, because of course you've got to have a way of melting your wax. Now, another option would be to use an iron. I've bought this iron here. This is a steamless iron with a flat bed, which is quite small. This was inexpensive as well. This was £12, and I bought this to use with some of my other craft projects as well, eco dyeing and that kind of thing, so that I can use this without worrying that I'm going to completely destroy my household iron. So, you know, this is a multitasking iron for me, but I will be trying this at some stage as well, to see how this works. You could as well, which occurred to me a couple of days ago, use something like one of those hot griddle plates and cover it with tin foil to protect it, and use some of the tin foil cake tins, you know, things like that you get jam tarts in, that kind of thing, to melt your wax. I can't see any reason why that wouldn't work either. Now, of course, the other thing you will need is some kind of brushes to spread your wax with, and you need natural bristle brushes. Synthetic ones won't work for this because they just melt as soon as you pop them into the wax. So these are natural bristle brushes. These are really inexpensive. You can pick these up very cheaply on eBay and Amazon. And you can see that this smaller one is the one that I've used for my wax painting here. The wax does harden on the paintbrush, and once you've used it for Encaustic, I can't see that you could really use it for anything else, and it would cost you an absolute fortune to buy the cleaning supplies if you want to keep cleaning your brushes in between. I'm not worried about it because, of course, as soon as I start doing another project, then my wax is going to melt again anyway. So that is pretty much all you need to get started, and I know that some of you have already expressed a keen interest in following along with my encaustic journey. So I'm just going to show you now the footage of how I created my very first encaustic piece. Is I want to glue some ledger paper down to my tag base. I've got some Mod Podge this time because I want to make sure that this is firmly attached and isn't going to come unstuck by the heat of the encaustic medium. So I'm just going to pop some of this all over the base of the tag. This is Mod Podge, and it's 2 parts Mod Podge and 1 part water approximately. You know, I haven't measured it exactly, but it's there or thereabouts. So we'll just pop some of that all over the base of my tag, and then I'm just going to pop this on top like that. I shall give this a quick dry with my heat gun and fussy cut it out. So my glue is pretty much dry now, and I've kept smoothing it out using a store card just to make sure that I don't get any rings and bumps. And I'm just going to use my handy dandy nail file now just to file around the edges, which I'll do off camera because it makes a mess and it's noisy. So my ledger paper is nice and firmly glued down, and the reason I like to use a nail file is I just get neatly finished edges, and it also helps to burnish them down as well, so that isn't going to come unstuck. So I am now going to apply another coat of Mod Podge and water mixture over the top of this, and then I'm going to add some of my photocopied mixed medium masterboard. The reason I'm using the ledger paper underneath is that I'm hoping that with the wax it will become translucent, and then you'll be able to see this ledger paper when the wax melts underneath. We'll see. As I say, I've never tried this before, so I don't know. This is just what I've read by watching other YouTube videos. I want to glue this part here, so it's going to go something like that. So I'm going to flip this over, and of course it's this part here that I want to use. Remember, I've got a border on my piece. Then I'm going to flip that over, and again I'm just going to make sure that I smooth that down just using this store card here. I'll give this a quick blast with my heat tool, and then again I'm just going to take the excess away using my nail file. So my masterboard is glued down, and that's what it looks like. Now, for those of you, and I know that this will be the majority of you that don't have encaustic, you could just leave your tag like that. And if you inked around the edges, what a beautiful tag that would make. I do want to, at this stage, just poke through to the other side, because of course I want to reintroduce my hole. And I've just got this tool here just to file around the edges. In fact, this is just from a craft knife, but it's got something that I can file away the excess here, hopefully. If your husbands have got sort of like a filing tool in their garages, go and raid it. But I'm just going to do the best I can. So I've filed that away, and that's not too bad. That's neat enough. And you can see as well that my wax has now melted. So let's just give this a whirl. I'm just going to put some wax over my background like this, a coat over the whole of it. I hope I've melted enough here. I might need to melt a little bit more when I add another layer, but I've certainly got enough for the first layer. And then you need to fuse in between each one. So I'm just going to melt this. In fact, that one should do. Melt this with my heat tool just to fuse it all together. And it should go shiny once it's started to melt and fuse. You've got to be careful not to burn it. I'm speaking as if I know exactly what I'm doing, whereas this is the first time I've ever tried this. But you can see on the bird where you're starting to be able to see the layers through, and you can actually see the ledger paper underneath as well. Wow, this is absolutely wonderful. I have been itching to try this. And once this is all melted, I shall just let that dry, and then I'm going to melt some more of the wax to give it another couple of coats. So there we go. I think that's all pretty much melted. I just love how that looks. Now if I hold this up, this is dried now. I've got a couple of gaps here that I've missed on the first attempt. It's my wax is thicker in some places than it is in others, so I'm just going to attempt now. My second batch of wax has now melted. I'm just going to try and fill in some of these gaps here and try and get it more even. Now they do suggest that if you've gone over your piece in one orientation one time, change it the second. So of course I went that way to start off with, so I'm now going in this direction, and then I need to fuse with my heat tool. I'm applying more wax here because I can see that there are some spots again that I've missed. So there we go. So now I'm going to fuse with my heat tool again, and this time I'm using my stronger heat tool. So for those of you that are wondering what fusing means, it's just melting those layers of wax together. And you'll notice as well that the further down the tag I get, that you can see that the lumps and bumps start to smooth themselves out. Now, what I don't show on camera and what I do after this layer is just use a metal palette knife, just to sort of very, very gently glide down the surface of my tag as well, just to take out any areas where I feel I've put too much wax. This is a learning curve for me, but after this very, very first attempt, I'm really happy with the finish that I do end up achieving, and it just looks so beautiful. I can see that I'm going to get completely addicted to this. So this is my tag so far. I'm really pleased with the finish that I've achieved here. I did end up scraping over the wax using this metal spatula just to try and smooth out the finish. That's apparently the hardest thing, and any tips that anybody can offer will be greatly appreciated. But that seems to have worked. I've got 3 layers of wax on this, and I'm really happy with it. It just feels absolutely beautiful. Now I want to finish off the back, because of course there's marks where the wax has spilled over, and I'm going to use another piece of the ledger paper like this, and I'm going to glue this on with a mixture of Scotch glue stick and Fabri-Tac as well, just to make sure that that doesn't come unstuck. So I shall just apply some of my glue stick over the back like this. I know that people are always interested to see what glue I use. I just use a mixture of all sorts. To be honest, I think that glue stick on its own would be enough for this, but this is such a beautiful piece, I don't want to risk anything coming unglued, so I'm just going to use a spot of Fabri-Tac as well. So there we go, that's enough of that. Then I can add a spot of Fabri-Tac as well. This is permanent, and you know, once this is down it's not going to go anywhere. So just a touch of that, that's plenty. And then I'm going to stick my ledger piece down. Now, which side do I want to use? I think I want to use this piece here. So let me have a look. So I'm going to glue that on there like that, and then cut around the edges. So again, I shall use some kind of key card, if I can find where I put it, just to smooth everything down, and just to eliminate any air bubbles. So this is how it looks now, and I just think the addition of the ledger paper on the back has just really finished that off nicely. I just love it. It's so beautiful. Now, I don't know whether this next layer is going to work or not. I've got some Memento ink in Espresso Travel. I have seen lots of people using pan pastels to add borders to their pieces. I don't have any, so they might be using pan pastels for a reason. I have no idea whether this is going to work. It might just completely slide off the wax, but I'm going to try it anyway. I've got a plan B if this doesn't work. It is darkening it slightly, and I'm going to fuse this once I've finished as well. So that's what my tag looks like on the back, and it has left a bit of ink around the wax. I'm going to fuse this. This isn't dark enough for me, so I'm going to have to resort to plan B. So my plan B is to use one of my Caran d'Ache sticks here. I've just tried it on the edge, and this is working. I just want to darken the edge just to give me a border and frame my piece. I haven't got a dark brown in this set here, so I am using raw umber, which goes really well with the colours I'm using anyway. And again, I'm just going to have to fuse this, I think. Once I've applied it all the way around the edge. But just look how pretty that looks. This is just framing it really, really nicely. So I've added a layer of my Neo colour on both sides. I just absolutely love how that looks. And I'm just going to fuse that now all over the top again. So before I add any fibres to my tag, I've just been polishing it using a microfiber cloth, and it's just brought it up to this lovely, lovely shine. Apparently this does dull over time, but that's just absolutely beautiful. It's just gorgeous. So that's what it looks like on the front, and that's what it's like on the back. Let me just grab another copy of my masterboard, because I just want you to see here that you can see the layers of the piece of ledger paper that I put underneath, because the wax makes the papers translucent, so you can see all those gorgeous layers. It really is absolutely beautiful. Now I've got some sari silk here. that again was sent to me in Happy Mail by my friend Debbie. Which end do I want to use? And I think what I'm going to do is just double this over, just so that it's slightly thicker, and I'm just going to put a piece through my tag. I couldn't decide between this colour here or the black, but I think it's got to be the black, so I'm just going to fiddle around with this, and as soon as I've done that I shall be back. So here's my finished tag. I just love the way that this encaustic wax looks. It sort of gives you this milky, beautiful, beautiful finish. And I know that some of you are probably thinking, well, how on earth are you going to display the tag? What are you going to do with it? I've got one of these little wooden mini easels, and I'm just going to pop my tag on a shelf. It's just too nice to hide away. So that's what it looks like on the front. And of course, that's the back. Now, I will be having a go at a later stage with encaustic again, because I just think it would look beautiful on these artist trading coins that I made on Sunday. And I also want to try it on the postcard that I made as well. Now, encaustic, you do have to work on a sturdy, stable surface. This, of course, is a layer of my masterboard mounted onto 2 pieces of 300 GSM cardstock. So I just want to know whether this is sturdy and stable enough to take the wax, but I'm not going to be doing that today. But let me just pop that to one side. I hope you have enjoyed following along with my first ever encaustic experience. And, you know, if anybody's got any advice or tips to give me, then please do leave them in the comments section below. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and as always, if you did, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. And thanks for watching, and I shall see you all again very soon. Bye for now.